coming to the zone here. 10 back. 5. Green, green, green.
Hello and welcome back to the Hot Lap, your home for everything INRS racing. I'm Clark Franz, driver of the number 15 Chevrolet Camaro.
I'm Tony Japs, driver of the number 42 Chevrolet Camaro.
I'm Vernon Brabeck, driver of number 10 Chevrolet Camaro for Roadrunner Motorsports.
Corey Bunch, number 77 Ford Mustang, Full Throttle Motorsports.
We're coming off a good race at Richmond this week, and once again we have the winner of the race on the podcast. We don't even need a guest for it. Corey, congrats on the win.
Thank you. As I'm bowing down to the front of the camera here, but yeah.
A complete 180 from the spring race, which was an absolute caution fest. This one, only 7 natural cautions plus the stage. How'd the challenge compare between the two?
I may not be the best person to answer that because I literally was probably, I think most of the time was probably by myself. So I can't really answer that because I was leading. I hate to say it that way. Golly. Yeah. You're probably better off getting like a better answer from either Tony or Vernon on that because
Just like a very, very humble way of stating I was in a league of my own.
Well, I'm not trying to sound cocky about it because when you look at it, I led every single lap, and I didn't think that was even possible. But then again, spring race, I led 177 out of 200, so I don't know. But like, as far as like the comparison of the two is, that's probably really just like with the cautions, really. But I mean, we did have some green flag runs, and it was great to be able to show who stood out on the long run, because I think you had like myself and Booth, and there was some other ones. Murphy, he was up there too. That kind of stuck out there as well. Just to name a few, but yeah, I'm not really the kind of person to be able to ask about that question, unfortunately.
Well, Vernon, I'll ship that question to you. Second here in the spring as well. Did you finish second or did you just run second?
The spring, I finished 8th. I made some mistakes that cost me track position. I was running second for pretty much the entire race until I made that mistake after the stage break.
Yeah, misspoke on that one there. But then finishing second for this one, how much of a difference was trying to maintain track position this race versus the spring?
I mean, I made mistakes again. That cost me stage points this week at Richmond compared to the spring. I finished second at the stage, but man, tire fall off was insane. Just like taking care of the tires, that made a huge difference in track position. I think I went from 4th to 12th right before the stage because I just ran the tires off of it, and everybody was driving by me.
Or did you feel any of that tire wear or being up front with clean air? Were you pretty much just managing your own lap times and just clicking off good laps?
I think what I was trying to do is, and I think what kind of separated me from everybody else was just my fire off speed. And when I would get to like a second and a half lead or so, I was able to try to take it down a little bit and then just manage my race from there. And that's probably what excelled it further, just for the fact that because my tire wear was, according to the crew chief, was just phenomenal. Like, you couldn't have been more balanced, I felt like. And I was just, just running my race, not really worried about who was trying to catch me or anything like that. So when you're leading and you're by yourself, you could, just chill a little bit and then just run your race. And I know like Eric and Whitley and all them, just to name a couple, they mentioned about like where they was just killing the right front, just plowing, just destroying it. And then I'd give out my stuff and they're like, so, but I think that was just part of the difference too, of like, you being in clean air versus being 7th or 8th, battling hard. You tend to just weigh your stuff out more. And I think that's what the difference was there.
I think being further back in the pack, not only did you have the tire wear, I had the same issue with the right front. My first run, I ended up making some changes to how I was running my line, did better towards the end of the race. But not only the tire wear I was battling, I would get really aero tight if I was getting right up to the person in front of me. It was a tough track to pass. If I'd suck into somebody's rear bumper, it was like I would lose the nose coming off the corner. Tony, were you feeling any of that?
No, ironically, I had some of the best tire wear everybody in our stable all night. I never really wore the right front really hard, and I kind of ran around 14th all night, except for the 2 times I got up into the top 10 and raced a little too hard and spun it out. So, and even after spinning it out, the tires still weren't terrible.
Corey, what is it about this track that plays into your driving style?
I have no idea. It's just one of those ones where it just kind of just, I guess it just kind of just suits me. I don't know. Like I have some kind of knack, and I really don't know why. But then again, like I could say the same thing about New Hampshire, Iowa, Gateway, all those kind of tracks. I think it's just about just having the rhythm and, just I don't know. It's I'm sorry, I'm spacing out there for a minute there because I try to think of stuff of why I'm good at these tracks, but I can't really have a definite answer at it because I mean, you think
You're just
I was a couple of episodes ago, you had Vernon call it like when you asked me what was the race if I was gonna get one more win. Vernon said Richmond, and he called it. I didn't even think of it myself, so I'm just glad that people thought that better than I did. But I don't know. I just think this part of it was just kind of just like a rhythm track, and once you get in that groove, I mean, anything's possible.
I don't think I was in a groove the whole race. I ended up, what did I finish? P12. Not a bad finish for me. I was stuck around 15th the whole race. It was just trying to learn to manage my tires. I struggle so much with saving tires, and like we all mentioned, it tire wear was a factor, and it's what I'm definitely gonna have to work on the off season. Now with the 7 cautions we had, a couple of them were single car spins, some pretty good damage to them. But the last caution is what I want to talk about, especially because it kind of relates to the Cup Series in real life with Austin Dillon, and it's the Garrett Walden and Vince Burns crash. I want to know, Tony, what are your thoughts on the last lap penalty from the league?
I think that I think we need to penalize Austin Dillon if we can get somebody up to NASCAR on that. But I don't know. I've watched it over and over. I think that Garrett was diving in there, and Vince came down, but Garrett didn't have position going in. He did show that he was going to dive down to the inside going down the backstretch. And you see it. He kind of gets into him in the left rear, and I don't think it was that first contact that sent Vince around. It was that second contact. So on one hand, it's short track racing. You're racing. It's the last lap. Garrett's trying to get every point he can get. On the other hand, you don't want to deliberately take people out, which I definitely don't think that was Garrett's intent, was to take him out, but it happened.
Corey, what are you thinking about it?
I don't know. Well, see, when I looked at it, I just looked at it as like it was just like the last lap, just going for it. And like what Tony said, I don't think it was Garrett's intention to just deliberately just dump Vince. But I think what got him in trouble was not the first hit, but the second one. And I feel like if he would at least load up to where he didn't go to try to hit Vince a second time. I wouldn't say try to hit him, but like just not, getting Vince in the the left front. He hit him on the second time and made Vince overcorrected at the traffic. I think without that, I don't think he would have got that penalty. But I hate it because I like Garrett, but at the same time, that's not my call. If it was up to me, I don't think I would have penalized him for that. But it's I'll just say this. That's what Garrett did was not egregious like what Austin Dillon did. What Austin Dillon did was very, very egregious. And if we're going to penalize anybody, like Tony said, it should be Austin Dillon.
We'll send an email to NASCAR to see if Josh Douglas has any pull with their decisions
Yeah.
on penalties. If so, maybe we can help NASCAR with that.
Well,
Vernon, with a teammate involved on the other side of things, do you think it's a fair call by the league?
I mean, even if Vince wasn't my teammate, yeah, I still think it's a fair call. Yes, he shows that he's going to go down there, but I mean, even if Vince doesn't block, Garrett still doors Vince in the corner. You even see it after he makes contact with Vince. He drifts up in the corner, and it's just, I mean, yeah, it's racing. It's the last lap, but INRS set a precedent with Jacob Busau sending it in turn 11 at Sonoma and taking out, shoving Clark into Whitley and taking Whitley out. It's a set a precedent of the last lap. There's no caution. Nothing's going to bring out that caution. Once a white flag's taken, whatever happens where you cross that finish line for the checkered is where you go. So I agree with the call. I don't think it was intentional, but you're sending it in there with the hopes of not taking the guy out and hoping he doesn't turn down. I mean, you can drop down and say, "Hey, I'm going to send it in here all you want," but until it's your corner, it's going to be your fault 100% of the time.
Looking at it from a way that's not even talking about whether or not the penalty should happen, I think it's a part of it is just knowing your surroundings and where you're at in the race. Because, like, I get along with Garrett and Vince, but Garrett's not gonna point his way into these playoffs. Vince is on the bubble, and knowing that, and having that mutual respect for other drivers, knowing, like, trust me, if it's a points battle and Vince and Garrett are right on the cusp, say you replace that battle and it's Tony and Vince and they're going at it. It's a little bit easier to look at it in that scope, in my opinion, because those two are battling for points and it matters. But Vince is battling for points with completely different people, and Garrett's not going to win the race from P7, P8, whatever it is, diving into that last corner. It makes no difference whether or not he gains that spot on Vince. And I'm competitive too, don't get me wrong. I want to finish as best as I can, but it's just knowing your surroundings. And I think that that's where I have the issue with it, is because it affected the playoff bubble so much, because Vince was going to have top 10, push himself further into the playoff picture, and instead he's still sitting 8 points out.
Without Vince spinning, he's inside the say, or inside the playoffs, and I'm outside or pretty close to it. Because he was going to finish the solid top 10, but I think he finished 4 spots behind me. So
He was going to finish 7th. He would have jumped Matt, or he would have tied Matt for 15th in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm about to say he finished 20th. And I ended up passing him. There's a bunch of people that ended up passing him. He would have been good in the playoffs, and I would have been sitting on the outside looking in. So that's something too that has playoff implications, at the end of the day.
These are some tricky topics. I like talking about them because it's some actual drama in the league, gives us stuff to talk about. But you got to think, we got a pretty niche community. We got a pretty small group of people that listen to this, and you go spewing your opinions, it might piss people off. I just like to say, like, if you're brought up in this, it's not any ill will. We're giving our opinions on a wreck. It doesn't really mean that our word is worth gold. I just am trying to call it how I see it. Is in different circumstances, I could see that being tough racing for a position, but in this circumstance, I don't see it that way. And talking about playoff bubble, Matt Robinson moves to 13 up, Ty Bostic 17 up. Yeah, Tony, you're in 16th plus 8. Vince is looking 8 points out, and Joseph Mossau's 31 points out. As we head further down the list to 19th and then 20th, it's Matt Parasini and then myself. We're 55 and 82 points out, respectively, so I don't think we're going to point in. I think at this point, as we're heading towards Michigan, it's looking like it's going to be a battle between you and Vince, Tony.
Yeah, Joseph Musau worries me a little bit, because Joseph's strong enough down there that he can get stage points every week and have decent finishes. So it's still feasible that him and Matt could point their way in. But realistically, the way I'm looking at it is move that cut line up above me one, because I'm banking on having a new winner at Daytona. So I don't want to feel safe sitting 8 points in. I'd like to get a little higher. I'd really like to pass Matt and possibly Ty Bostic.
How have you been at Michigan in the past?
We didn't run very well here last year, so we'll see. I'm better at Darlington than I am Michigan.
Before we get too far into diving into this upcoming race at Michigan, we're going to move on to Fast Facts. And Tony, you get to be spotlighted this week. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I want you to answer them for me.
No pressure.
Sounds good. Let's go.
No pressure. First question. Where are you from, Tony?
I was born in D.C., but I live in Lexington, South Carolina, just outside of, about 3 miles out of past the Columbia Airport.
What do you do for a living?
Well, that's a trick question. I sell cars and I repo cars.
You giveth and you taketh.
So,
How'd you get it? Go ahead.
I'm in the middle of working a 2-week notice out of the dealership and repoing cars on the side. I'm going to go do that full time.
Cool. How'd you get into sim racing?
It was during COVID. I've been friends with Corey and Michael and he who shall not be named, and Eric and them. And I used to see them on Messenger all the time talk about iRacing. And finally, when NASCAR went to COVID, or went to iRacing over the COVID break, I went out and I bought a PC and decided to start iRacing. And a good little 2 rebuilds later, that same PC is still kicking.
2 rebuilds later. So what kind of setup are you rocking?
Well, I got the Fanatec wheelbase, the belt-driven wheelbase, and the V3 pedals for a sim or for the rig. I got a little Conquer sim seat, and the PC. Like I said, I've rebuilt it twice. It started with I think it was a 1060 graphics card, and now we're running. I think I'm running a 3080 now. So
A little bit of an upgrade, I'd say.
I messed up. I rebuilt it during the end of COVID pricing. I don't want to go back and look at how much I spent on it.
I'm sure that wasn't pretty. I built mine during COVID, my PC, and bought wheel and pedals and everything. I spent a pretty penny. So if you're not sitting in that nice sim rig you got, what other hobbies are you tending to?
I like to play golf. I enjoy hunting and fishing. And if I'm not here, I'm either hanging out with the kids or working.
You versus Scott Thomas in golf. Who's winning?
Scott Thomas.
Do you know what your handicap is?
No. I go out to waste balls and drink beer and kill time. Have fun with my friends.
Now hold on. What is a handicap? I'm not the person that plays golf, but what is a handicap?
It represents on how you play. So if you shoot this many over par, that's what your handicap is. So when you play someone better than you, you can take that handicap and kind of match them so it's even. Otherwise, if I play somebody who shoots under par and I shoot over par, without handicap, I'm never going to win, or it's going to take a miracle for me to win. So that handicap kind of brings the match even. So if I got a 10 handicap and someone's got an even or a scratch golfer, which means they shoot even par, basically I get so many strokes on certain holes because of the difficulty of those holes to kind of even out me versus him or her or whoever.
Gotcha.
So
Yes.
That being said, I have a customer that is I didn't know at the time, but she played golf for Clemson University, and she was in the top 5 of their program in history. And she invited me out golfing one day, and I was like, hey, cool. I was like, me and my manager will come along and we'll hang out. She didn't tell me that she played for Clemson, and she had a pretty decent lead on me by the end of the front 9. So we'll never make that mistake again.
So, do you follow NASCAR in real life?
Yes.
Who do you root for?
Kyle Busch. It's been a sucky season. It resembles mine in the INRS series.
Have you followed Kyle even since the JGR days, or even all the way back to the Hendrick days?
Yeah. I was a diehard Jeff Gordon fan, and I was in the hospitality tent in Martinsville, 2015 when he won, and somebody asked him who his favorite driver was going to be when he got out of the car. He said he liked Kyle Busch, so that was a good enough reason for me to pull for Kyle Busch.
Well, I'm glad we get to know you a little bit more, Tony. As we head towards Michigan, I know you said you haven't really ran well there before. What are your keys going to be to the race going to be, though?
Staying out of trouble for one. I think on the short run it's going to be packed up. I think that as tires start to wear off a little bit, we're gonna thin out, and I think track position is going to be key, just like every other week. So if you can qualify good and maintain some position, you should be good for the race. And don't make mistakes on pit road.
Vernon, pole winner last year here, ran fairly well. Is track position going to be key with the winning the pole, or are you thinking you're going to be able to make passes as we're moving?
Yeah, you're gonna need track position. Pole will be absolutely key. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can definitely run the tires off. I know I did last year. I think I won stage because I'm looking at bonus points and it's got me 1 and then Brogdon 5. So I'm assuming I won the stage, but uh, it's tough to pass because you pull out a line. I mean, it's just like Indy. You pull out a line or a Pocono, and the guy behind you, if they don't follow you, you're just that gap's gonna shut. They're gonna pull, and you're gonna go in the corner. And I mean, you can try to make time in the corner, but it's so hard to do. And then also not to get passed right back once if you make the pass out of the corner. It'll be interesting. It's a big drafting track, but I think it's fairly easy for someone to run the tires off of it if they're not careful.
You're looking at lap times from last year's race at Michigan. The difference between lap times from the back of the field to the front of the field was not very far off. I'm guessing that there was a late caution because of how close they were interval-wise, only less than 7 seconds back. But out of those lap times we're talking about, Corey, you're number one at the top of the board there with a 38.804. With the new tire model and how things changed from last year to this year, how are you feeling about being able to replicate that success?
We won't find out till we get there. That's going to seem to be the trend for the most part because, like what Vernon said, I predict that this is going to be how it would be Indy, just tough to pass. Same as Pocono, tough to pass. So, I mean, as I think I led some laps of that race, but like
You led 12.
I led 12. Okay, so I think we might be okay for a good top 5 or so, at least running up there. But you'll have your usual people like Wenzel and Booth. No, I take that back. Wenzel, if he quits screwing around with Murphy and wrecking himself trying to pass Murphy, he might be up there in the top 5 as well. But yeah, you'll have your usual suspects up there, and I think Vernon will be up there as well. Just based off whoever was good at Indy and Pocono, I'm pretty sure they'll be good when it comes to Michigan, comes that time.
Corey, who are you going to take for the winner?
Jeffrey Brought. Oh wait, he's not here anymore. Dang it.
Otherwise, I would.
Dadgummit. Okay. Let's see. That's tough because this is one of those tracks. I don't think Booth can do it. He might be in the top 3, but I don't think he'll be able to win this race. Holy crap. You know what? I'm gonna go on the deep end. See here. If he's still in the field and yeah, if he's still in the field, I'll take that 24 car, Matt Parasini. Take the win. I can see him just being like the sleeper and then just all of a sudden, because he was good at Pocono I mean, he ran there mostly a top 5, so I could see him just pulling something out of the hat and then go up there and getting a win at Michigan.
Vernon, who are you gonna take?
Well, I've been looking off of last year, which I mean, I know you can't really do. The top 3 were Jeffrey Brogdon, he who shall not be named, and Vince Burns. Vince actually finished 3/10 off, so he's been good at these tracks. I know he doesn't get a lot of practice time in, which I wish he would, but life dictates other things. So I'm gonna go Vince. I'm gonna think he gets it done and locks himself into the playoffs.
Tony, what about you?
I'm gonna go with somebody who had some misfortune at the end of last year's race, but ran really well up until then. Ty Bostic.
I forgot about him. Golly.
He was Ty Bostic was involved in the last I think it was the last caution. Because he only finished 8 laps down. So, but he led 20 laps out of that race.
Did he kill the pit wall over there too?
I think so.
We gotta roll back the footage on that just to make sure and see what happens.
Just throwing it out there. Brogdon won that race and only led the last lap. And if I remember correctly, he really only led the last quarter of a lap.
Yeah, he was on fresh tires and he was on a mission. He was a missile.
Yeah, because a certain person just rolled over.
Well, that and he had Vince behind him. Vince was following him. We were all teammates at the time.
I keep forgetting about that too because Vince drives a Ford and everyone else is a Chevrolet. And that throws me off. Daggum it.
I'm gonna take someone completely different. It's kind of more of a long shot, but they're a good racer, and I'm gonna take Martin Giroux. I think he did well here last year. His lap time was competitive to the fastest lap, and he does have 1 win this year. He's shown he can do it. I think he's gonna put on a good showing. Now, before we close the show out here today, I'm gonna throw something on you guys that was not on the talking points today. I'm gonna call out a few names. I want you guys to give them a little report card for the season.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
So that'd be fun.
Let's start Corey Ennis, and nobody is more fitting than you to answer this, Corey. Let's give him a grade card.
I see what you did there. Okay. I'll tell you what, he's been getting better as far as as the season goes on. He's been getting better. Now I know I think he still gets involved in a lot of wrecks and stuff, but most of it probably not his own doing. I'll tell you what, I'll probably just give him a C because, like I said, if he was still beginning of the year, still getting involved in wrecks and stuff, I probably would have given him a D. But since he's been finishing better, it even got the top 3. That Richmond, that was hella impressive on that. So I'll give him a C for this year.
Tony, I'm gonna let you give a grade card to Tyler Lem.
Ooh, Tyler Lem. We're gonna give Tyler a B. Tyler's got a win on the season. He's locked into the playoffs. He's got 4 top 5s and 8 top 10s. So he's run pretty good, pretty consistent most of the season. When he's outside the top 10, it's because he's been involved in an altercation, whether it's his own doing or getting caught up in somebody else. So we're gonna give him a B minus.
B minus for Tyler Lem. Vernon, I'll let you go ahead and give a grade card to Matthew Parasini.
Oh, I mean, he's kind of come on strong lately. So I mean, beginning of the year, I'd probably say C minus, C in that range. But I've got to go right now, probably about a C plus, B minus. In that area, he did really well at Pocono. He battled me for what felt like forever. I don't think it was 10 laps. It might have been 10 laps. It might have been a little more than 10 laps, but we battled for the longest time, and he was well on his way to getting a top 5 before him and Corey got into it off the turn 3 final lap. But I would say right now he's probably sitting right around a C plus B minus, but he's turned it on as of late compared to where he was at the beginning of the year.
Don't forget, he finished third at Gateway, too.
Corey, I'll let you give a grade card to one of your closest competitors, Clark France. Where am I at?
Do you really want me to burn you? Do you really be earnest?
Go ahead. I'll take it. I like constructive
Ah,
criticism,
God.
or even demeaning criticism. Let's hear it.
Well, I can't be mean, but I have to be as real as I can. Son of a I would have felt better to just burn my teammates than burn you. But
I got my big boy panties on. It's okay.
well, I can't give you a D, but it's got to be around that range because of how well your teammates are running, and and as it shows, I think because you got Austin Walton as your teammate too, ain't you? And which I know he's just started, but I'd say
Austin is 29th, but he's ran four less races than me.
yeah, and that's what I was going to say there too. Was that there as well? I'll just be safe. I'll just give you a C minus, just for the fact of it can be better for you because of where your teammates are running, but that as low as I'll go. I can't give you a D because that'd be kind of like me giving. Well, I'll just say this: if it was Tony, I'd have gave Tony a D, just because of where his teammates are at. But I'll give you a C minus.
C minus. If I had to rate myself, I'd probably say a D. So I wouldn't have blamed you if you did. It just hasn't been my season.
I was about to say I would have given myself a D. I'm the highest driver without a top 5 in points. We'll throw Clark on the hot seat here. Clark, rate Eric Jeffers' season.
Eric Jeffers' season sitting
He's
12.
F. You're getting an
12?
F.
Where's the toaster?
What is it? Live, laugh, toaster bath. I love that saying now. Sitting 12th, 96 points above the cut. I don't think you can go anywhere below a B minus. When you look at him compared to his teammates, Whitley, and then you, Corey, he's below you two. But you can't really judge somebody for being below two studs in the league. Whitley's, he hasn't had a win, but if you're looking at overall point standings outside of wins, Michael Whitley would be in 7th because of the current NASCAR format, which we follow. He's in 11th, but Whitley's had one heck of a season. I would go B minus. Scoring him against himself. He's had some really good finishes. I think he's 4 races he's had 4 top 10s in a row. And I think he's going to keep that up here at Michigan.
Now I think that was after I mentioned a while back that he'd be one of those drivers that fall out of the playoffs. So he took that personal, and then he's been doing better. So good job, Eric. Proud of you. Love you. Mean it.
Vernon, while we're throwing people on the hot seats, can you go ahead and give a report card to Vince Burns?
Well, for as consistent as the guy was last year, he has 1 top 5. I know the competition got better, and we got guys who are just insanely fast. I wish he'd be a little more aggressive. I feel like sometimes he's a little too passive. I know Tony and Whitley will say otherwise because when they get behind him, they just can't seem to pass him, and they'll talk about him blocking this and blocking that, and I can't pass the guy, and it's just that's all I hear whenever I'm in Discord with those guys. But he's just outside the cut line, so you can't go anything worse than a C in my opinion. But it's got to be a C. I wish he'd be a little more aggressive. And I know sometimes you can't put as much effort into iRacing as some other people because you have other things going on and whatnot. But I mean, he's got 14 stage points.
I think
throughout the year, so I got to go with a C at least.
I think if I if I had to give him a score right now, I think it'd be a C plus. But he has a very good potential to make it into a B if he can get into the cut.
Oh, absolutely. If he can turn it on the last 3 races, I think he gets a B minus B.
Tony, I got one more report card for you. Richard Mills.
Ooh.
Well, I'm gonna say it's funny. I was just looking at that because Richard Mills is the lowest of the only 4 drivers that have started every race this season. The other 3 are first, fourth, and sixth, and Mills is sitting 21st. I think if we're being consistent, I think that we're a solid D. Maybe a C minus because he's had a few good runs in here lately, and he's been taken out a couple times early in the season. But D plus.
D plus. I will give him some bonus points for being probably the most consistent driver to be here on a weekly basis since
I'm pretty sure
the
out of
league
all
first
3
started.
years, he's the only
Yeah.
one who's made every race.
He has not made every race because he only made 31 last year, but he's pretty damn close.
Oh, he only made 31 last year?
Yeah. But, to those of you who may be sitting listening thinking I'm not happy with my report card, that's our opinions. It's not necessarily fact.
Get better.
Get better. Get better or
Get
get
good.
wrecked. Yeah. Get good. If you need to get better, head on over to Jordan Booth Racing Academy.
40XLI Racing Academy. Real quick before we end, throw one in there. Way too early championship favorite.
Jordan Booth.
Corey Bunch.
Ah, no. Why'd you jinx it? Damn it. Well, there goes my chance at the championship 4.
All right,
Thanks
all
a
right,
lot.
all reality. He's going to take another win in at Martinsville, and it's going to piss me off because I feel like I'm going to be the one who should win that one. And he's going to get himself into the championship 4, and he's going to. I can see the dive bomb coming already. The Austin Dillon of Jordan Booth. Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
Dude, what if Booth has that luck that he shall not be named had last year?
Oh
And,
no!
This
Don't
is
wish that on
championship
him.
4? Oh yes, that would be. Oh
8 tires turn better than 4.
yes, they do.
So I'm gonna go with Wetzel. But back to that luck last year. Of the 10 9 because I missed Bristol. I had a better average finish than he who shall not be named over the playoffs. He just had horrible luck.
Well, what killed it for him was that he sped at Kansas like an idiot. So
He sped, I don't think, every race that stretch.
If history repeats itself, I think Jordan Wentzel will be the winner. If you look at it from last year's Phoenix race as well as this spring's Phoenix race, Jordan Wentzel's been the most consistent. Simon won the race. Jordan put down the best lap time. Not that a single lap always matters, but he did finish second place, just 0.2 of a second back. I'm going to go with Wentzel.
Final 4 is going to be Booth, Wentzel, Bunch, and Whitley.
Whitley.
Whitley's winning at Martinsville. That's what Tony's calling right there.
You're going to go back to back on that. Okay.
Final 4, probably Booth, Wentzel, Bunch, and then I'm hoping me, but I can't do that. Probably Murphy. Murphy probably makes it in.
All right. My go.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got well, that's gonna make me sound cocky if I say the big 3 as in Booth, Wentzel, and myself. But I'll say Booth, Wentzel, and myself. But as that 4th driver, if he makes every race, I'm gonna say Alex Forget. I could see him just being on a tear, and he had been like running well. And I could just see once he gets in the playoffs, he's in the playoffs, but once that playoffs start, I think that he'll just be on a tear, and then be Booth's nightmare because you know how much they hate each other.
That's the Austin Dillon right there. That's the moment.
I think it's going to be Booth, Wentzel, Bunch, and I'm going to toss up between either you, Vernon, or Tyler Lem for my top 4.
No love for Murphy.
I
Which,
said
granted,
it.
Oh, you said Murphy?
Yeah, I took myself
Oh.
out and put Murphy in.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that. Sorry.
I want to get with. I'm gonna pitch the idea to Michael. If he doesn't hear it on here first, is for the playoffs for the championship 4. We need to have a picture of both Jordans and Corey, and then a blank car and the big 3 and me for whoever's the one outside of that big 3.
That's throwing some pressure on you, Corey. He's saying you're going to be in it no matter what.
Hey, I'll just be happy if I make it to the round of 8. If I make it there, it's I'm playing with house money at this point. So if I don't make it in the championship 4, it's been a great year for me already. So, but I mean, it'd be nice to go ahead and contend for another championship. But we'll I'm not gonna put myself under that pressure. So I know where I stand, and we'll see how it plays out.
Thanks for bringing that topic up, Tony. That was a good last question before we end it here today. To all the listeners, thank you again for tuning in. Look forward to racing you all at Michigan this week. Should be a good one, and we can't wait to talk to you next week. Take care.
See.